Hello, and welcome to Make a Difference, the show about how everyday volunteers are making a difference right here in Montgomery County. I'm your host, Sandy Smith, and we welcome you back via Zoom due to the ongoing pandemic crisis. Fall is in the air and school is back in session. One of the requirements for graduation in the state of Maryland is to complete a certain number of SSL student service learning hours. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Donna Kleffman, Instructional Specialist for Student Service Learning, and Brigitte Bonsu, Youth Volunteer of the Year. Welcome, Donna and Brigitte. How are you, ladies?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having us.
So, Donna, let's begin with you. Briefly, can you explain to us what SSL hours are and the purpose for making this a requirement?
Absolutely. So the Student Service Learning Program is a high school graduation requirement. We do require that all of our students complete 75 SSL hours, and that is a requirement from the Maryland State Department of Education. And basically the program is a chance and an opportunity for students to learn more about the community needs that exist, be able to figure out how they as a student can apply the skills and content objectives that they've learned in class to be able to help support the community around them.
Are there certain stipulations for what types of organizations they can volunteer for? Do they have to be registered with the county? How does that work?
Yes, so as part of the Student Service Learning graduation requirement, because it is a graduation requirement, all service for SSL must be completed with a registered nonprofit, either listed on the Volunteer Center website or registered in another database that we can check and verify their nonprofit status, or students can serve with our MCPS staff members or county government officials as they're supporting the community around them.
Okay, so what if they want to volunteer? A lot of students volunteer in their churches or other religious organizations that may not be registered with Volunteer Center. How do they do that? How does that qualify?
So religious organizations can also supervise and monitor student service as long as that service is completely secular in nature. It cannot be religious by any means, and it must support the wider community, not just the congregation membership itself, but there are plenty of religious organizations out there that are engaging our students in valuable service that do meet those community needs.
So these are unprecedented times. Have the guidelines been amended due to COVID, and if so, how?
That's a great question. So traditionally, our guidelines are that all of the service needs to be completed in person in a public space under that direct supervision of a nonprofit representative or an MCPS staff member. During this time with the pandemic, we recognize that the in-person opportunities are limited and that not every student and family feels comfortable with their students going out into the community to serve. So for that reason, we have temporarily amended our guidelines to include select virtual remote service. And really what that means is that there are opportunities that our nonprofits are sponsoring, as well as our MCPS staff members, where students from their homes complete service projects, such as writing cards, letters, designing artwork that are needed in the community, right? For those communities in need who need that uplifting, who need to hear from people who are experiencing social isolation. We even have students who are baking casseroles and making baked goods from home that they're donating to organizations to distribute to those communities in need. So the students are completing the service projects at home, but they are being remotely supervised by the nonprofit representative or the MCPS staff member who takes in what they've created, verifies to make sure that it's quality and it's something that would be useful for the community that it's being donated to, and then awards them hours based on a reasonable equivalency. So 10 cards, maybe they spent an hour doing that, they can earn that hour for doing that service from home. And those guidelines are in place until the end of this school year, so the 2021-2022 school year.
So Brigitte, I am so excited to have you here. You are our first ever student to visit. Congratulations on your award. And I know you've graduated from high school and you're now a freshman in college. Congratulations on that. What school are you attending?
I'm attending Hollins University in Roanoke, Virginia.
Wonderful. How do you like it so far?
I'm really enjoying my time here and I've met so many amazing people.
Good. And not too far from home. So that's, you can always come back to Montgomery County and see us. So tell us a little bit about your experience as a student volunteer while you were in high school.
Well, when I was attending Blair, I was very involved with Small Things Matter, a student-led nonprofit organization, and I would help out at food distributions every 2 weeks on Tuesdays and also help pack over hundreds of bags every Friday.
Wow. You put in a lot of hours and you did a lot of great work, which is why you were our youth award winner. So do you feel that your experience with volunteering as a high school student and as a in your previous years as a youth will help you and inspire you to continue that into adulthood?
Absolutely. Small Things Matter and I are still working together, and we're hoping to continue the virtual reading program we started this past school year.
Great, great. So you're getting involved even now in school, in college. And do
Yeah,
you foresee down the road in your old age, like myself, do you think you will still be volunteering? Is it a feeling that you get, or why is it so important to you?
I think, well, it's important to me because I love helping people and it really does make an impact. And I do see myself volunteering, not only just volunteering, but even starting my own nonprofit in the future.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah.
I think that's great. I think that's great. I think you will go on to do great things and help and inspire many people. So, Donna, um, for those parents and students that feel like they're a little bit behind, maybe they last year, kind of threw everyone off for basically a whole year and a half. And so maybe they missed out on uh, serving and getting their SSL hours. What would you recommend that they do? What resources would you recommend that they investigate in order to access information on how to get involved?
Thank you so much for that question, because I think there are a ton of students in that boat, and we definitely want to support them and work with them to be able to meet the graduation requirement even during these times. So the number one resource would be the Volunteer Center website. We work very closely with the Montgomery County Volunteer Center. We are very fortunate to have a strong partnership with them. And on that website, all of our nonprofit partners post opportunities for students, either in person or virtual and remote. Those in-person opportunities, we are asking our nonprofit partners to give very careful details about this health and safety protocols that they have in place so that our students and families can really understand what's happening at the event and how the student will be supporting and make the best decision for their student and their family. But if the student doesn't feel comfortable doing those in-person opportunities, then we have those host of virtual and remote opportunities that are listed on the Volunteer Center website too. Mm-hmm. So I strongly encourage that students start there looking for those opportunities. We do have 2 student-friendly bit.ly links that are especially key to finding those opportunities. So if you go to bit.ly/SSL opportunities, that'll be one website where you can find all of the in-person and virtual remote opportunities. And then the second bit.ly link is bit.ly/virtual SSL 2020. And that will pull up all of the nonprofit hosted virtual remote opportunities that have been available since the beginning of the pandemic. So those are 2 great places to go to look for those opportunities. I would also strongly encourage students to look at the MCPS Ssl Hub for students and families, which we actually launched this fall for students to be able to go and just have a one-stop shop, one place that they can go to find their SSL forms, how to check their SSL record on student or parent view, what the guidelines are for SSL, how they can find organizations that they can work with, and all of the resources that we've built out for students and families to be able to access SSL opportunities. So that hub is at another bit.ly link. We've fallen in love with bit.ly, which is bit.ly/SSL Hub MCPS. So students can go there and find tons of information as well.
Okay, great. And once they've completed the SSL hours, they have to make sure that they turn in the forms, because that's where the breakdown usually happens. And they have a certain amount of time to get those forms in. Can you give us the time, where they get the forms, who needs to complete the forms, et cetera?
Yes, Sandy, you're talking like a pro for sure.
I am.
Those
My
forms-
daughter actually got a cord for high school from her volunteer hours. So
Awesome. And I'll talk about that as well. So those forms, yes, are super important. Those forms allow students to have the hours added to their record. So the SSL form that they need to complete is MCPS form 560-51, which is the SSL activity verification form. And that can also be found at a bit.ly link, which is bit.ly/SSL reflection. And on that form, students will be asked to fill out their information. They'll ask the nonprofit to verify the hours and the service that they completed, and then they'll complete the required reflection, which they have to be able to answer a few questions about the experience and the opportunity, because we want them to really reflect on their learning and take away what they can from the experience. So they'll fill out that entire form, and then they'll turn it into their school's SSL coordinator. And every middle school and high school has an SSL coordinator designated at the school who will receive and process those forms and work with the student to have the hours added to their record. In terms of the award opportunities, so I'm really glad that you brought that up as well. Students may earn awards for earning a certain number of SSL hours. For our middle school students, we are strongly encouraging our middle school students to try to check this graduation requirement off their list and get it done in middle school, because they can, and because there are so many needs in the community that need to be met, that we want our students out there serving as soon as possible. So we do have an award for that. For every middle school student who earns 75 hours or more during their middle school career, they can earn the Superintendent's SSL Award. And they can earn that once in their middle school career, as long as they complete that graduation requirement while they're still in middle school. For our high school seniors, we also have a special award called the Certificate of Meritorious Service. And if they earn for this year 240 hours or more, we've reduced that amount because of the pandemic. They can earn the Certificate of Meritorious Service, which is what your daughter received, with a special purple tassel and recognition from the state superintendent. And then my last thought is about those deadlines. So we have a rolling submission process for the SSL forms. And actually, we are accepting any forms from June 1st, 2019, from the school year when the school buildings were closed down, because we want to make sure that just every student has an opportunity to turn in those forms if they haven't had a chance to yet. So we'll receive anything for service after June 1st, 2019. That first recommended due date is in September. The second recommended due date is in January. And then the last deadline, which is the required deadline, is the first Friday in June, which is June 3rd, 2022, this school year.
Thank you both for coming. And we've been speaking with Donna Kleffman and Brigitte Bonsu. Ladies, thank you for joining us today. Any last final thoughts you want to get out?
I just wanted to thank Brigitte for coming and joining us here today and sharing that student perspective. It is so important to hear from our students. And I cannot tell you how many of our nonprofits, Small Things Matter included, who have come to our office and said, it's the students who bring us the ideas. It's the students who are passionate about service, and it's the students who are driving the work of our nonprofit. So we really encourage all of our students to get out there. We know that you guys have time. We know that you have talent, and we know that you have skills to share with our community. And it will really set you on a path for success and fulfillment for sure for your entire lifetime.
I agree with that. I'm a strong believer in starting kids young, volunteering, and I think it becomes second nature as they go into their adulthood. So if you are interested in volunteer opportunities, please go to our website, montgomeryserves.org. I'm your host, Sandy Smith, and thank you for joining us, and let's be sure to make a difference.